Welcome back. Governor Tony Evers' People's Maps Commission released its draft maps for state Senate, Assembly, and U.S. House last week. Evers set up the commission to create what he said would be nonpartisan redistricting maps drawn by people, not politicians or lobbyists. Redistricting is a coming battle involving the Democratic governor, the Republican-controlled legislature, and potentially the courts. There's been a lot happening with it lately, so we're breaking it all down now and talking with Journal-Sentinel State Capitol reporter Patrick Marley. So we appreciate getting your perspective on this, as always, Patrick. And I'm interested to know, so the Governor Evers People's Maps Commission, they just released their drafts of these maps. How different is this from what Republicans want?
We haven't seen the Republican plan right now. That will come later in the coming months. We can compare them to the maps of today. So they are not as Republican as the existing maps, which were drawn exclusively by Republicans in 2011. They do still have a Republican skew to them. It's sort of an acknowledgement that the natural makeup of where people live in the state is more Republican than Democratic. The Democrats are concentrated in urban places like Madison and Milwaukee. But the size of the advantage is not as big under these new maps that are proposed. And there's a lot more competition in the maps that are proposed. So you could have situations in a Democratic wave year where the Democrats could take the state assembly or the state Senate, which is really out of reach under the maps we've had for the last decade. What
happens if the governor and Republicans don't agree on the maps?
It seems highly likely that is an outcome that we'll see. I suppose with these proposed maps and still having some kind of Democrat or Republican advantage, they could come to agreement, but it's very likely that they won't. They don't see eye to eye on much, and the stakes are extremely high. These maps will be in place for the next decade. If that comes to pass, it will go to the courts, and in fact, we've already got a pair of court fights unfolding now.
And I was just about to ask you that, because the state Supreme Court agreed to take up the case that could end up with the court drawing new maps. How likely do you think that is?
Again, I think that's really likely that it will be the courts that decide it. I don't know that you would see the courts actually drawing the maps themselves. What they would be more likely to do if they think they have to put the maps in place is ask everybody involved to submit their maps, and then among those they would choose from those.
What is at stake here? Why is this such a big deal?
It's a big deal because where the lines go really determine who's going to make up the majority of the legislature and who's going to make up have the advantage in congressional races. I mean, it's not fully determinative. There's always the chance for a competitive race here or there. But really what we've seen over the last decade is the way that Republicans drew maps when they controlled everything. They ensured that they would always have a large majority. And so if there are new lines, you could, increase competition, increase the chances for Democrats, and have them have either, once in a while a majority or at least a tighter margin, and which really does change governing. When one party controls 60 of 99 seats versus 52 of 99 seats, it changes the way business is done in Madison.
And there's been so much development lately when it comes to the maps. What's next, and what's sort of the end game, I guess, in this process? How long do we think it'll last?
So I would think that most of this will be resolved by the spring, because you have to have maps in place well before the elections. The primaries will be held in August of 2022. You need to know the district lines by the time people are taking out papers. So we're going to see a lot of activity in the short term. This commission is going to vote on the maps that it proposed the other day, sometime in October. The legislature, maybe in November, we don't know exactly when, will pass their maps. Then it'll be up to Evers to sign or veto those. So we could see some attempts at negotiation. Meanwhile, the court proceedings are already ongoing. If they don't reach a deal by late this year, I think you'll see the courts gear up even more.
Okay, well, we'll see what happens. Patrick Marley with the Journal-Sentinel. Thank you.
Thank you.
Former Justice Michael Gableman has sent out the first subpoenas in his review of the 2020 election. Gableman subpoenaed election clerks in Milwaukee, Green Bay, Madison, Racine, Kenosha, and the Wisconsin Elections Commission. Gableman is leading the probe for Assembly Speaker Robin Vos. You can follow this story on WisPolitics.com. Coming up, the race for governor. How do lesser-known candidates get their name out there?